You are listening to the Intelligent Vocalist Podcast, episode 184.
Welcome to the Intelligent Vocalist with John Henny. This is the podcast dedicated to help you be a smarter, better, more informed singer. And now, your host for the Intelligent Vocalist, John Henny.
Hey there, this is John Henny. Welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Vocalist. I do so appreciate you spending your precious listening time with me. I recently saw a tweet that really resonated with me. And I don't remember who said it, but the tweet was, "I'm up early for another day of what?" And that kind of describes, at least for me, life right now, particularly in Southern California. So we have been the COVID capital of the U.S., particularly Southern California. We currently have wildfires racing through the state. We have an oppressive heat wave and rolling blackouts because our electrical grid cannot withstand the demand. So, yeah, it's a day of what? But I'm here, and I want to talk about artistic choices. And man, this is something that I've really had to grapple with. Not that I'm doing an album, but I've been talking about my book, and my book is in the absolute final stages. I just finished recording the last videos for the online supplemental materials. The cover is done, and the manuscript, as of this morning, is completely finished. All my little tweaks that I've been agonizing over, and that is being sent to be formatted for both Kindle and print, and then the book is coming out. So within the next 2 weeks, Beginning Singing will be available, and I am super excited. But this book has been really knocking me upside the head. Again, it's my third book, but by far the hardest to write because I'm writing for a wider, more general audience. And the cover in particular was really a problem for me. I was trying to find a way around the typical cliche book cover for singing. And getting a book designed on singing, what do you put on a cover but a microphone or a stage with a microphone? And I was trying to think of ways around that. I could do sound waves or something really clever, but then that doesn't really signify singing, does it? I could have someone with their mouth open, but I don't particularly want to look at someone's mouth. So I was stuck, and I employed a few different designers, and I got different concepts with microphones. And I had to make a decision. And I hired one designer and the concept, and they talked about it, and I approved it. I thought it could work. They were very excited about it. And if you want to see it, I will put it on the notes for this show. Just go to johnhenny.com/184 for episode 184, and you can see the different book cover ideas, including the one that I chose. But this cover was a hand holding a microphone coming out of the ground, and the idea was it was this growth, rebirth, newness, and I said, wow, I don't really want it to look like a zombie movie, but I was assured it wouldn't. And when I got the design, I just really disliked it. And I showed it to my wife, and she disliked it even more. And this was not an inexpensive design, and it took a couple of weeks to get, ate up a chunk of time. And I was caught in this dilemma of, wow, this is now, I think, the second or third design that I've spent money on. I don't like any of them. I have no ideas for a cover. I'd completely run dry myself. I've invested a lot of money and I have nothing I liked. And I was like in this crisis of, do I just go ahead and use one of these? Because I didn't want to get stuck in that analysis by paralysis. And on my last podcast episode, I talked about how only done counts. And I needed to get this done. This book has just been roadblocks constantly. And me having to make so many decisions. And as you know, any artistic endeavor, any creative art endeavor is just thousands upon thousands of decisions. And they are decisions out of blank air. It's not like you're being presented with a preformed manuscript. I had to decide what I wanted to write about and the various chapters and how I was going to approach it. And each word that I typed was a decision, and then going back through rewrites, etc. And this cover, I was at a blank. There were no concepts I liked, and I was just totally stuck. And I was getting quasi-despondent and thinking, this book is never going to come out. I guess I'm just going to release it with a cover I don't like because that's better than not having the book come out. And so I turned to my associate teacher, Darlene, who's actually a very creative designer as well. And I just asked her, hey, do you have any ideas on this? And I'd run a few by her. And she gave me a rough design with some puzzle pieces on it. And I went, wow, that's brilliant. Because learning to sing is putting all these different puzzle pieces together. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I sent that concept to a designer. And I got back a cover that I really liked, and I got really excited, except there was one element that wasn't perfect, but I thought, no, I can't go down this rabbit hole of just constantly changing this, and I was getting really fatigued, and I almost couldn't think about it anymore, and I was at the point where I could not stand the book. I was just sick of it. And I've read about artists talking about their works, and just as they're finishing them, hitting the point where they're so over it. And I was really just so over the process. And the book cover is almost the final cover. But instead of the puzzle putting together a microphone, it was the silhouette of a man singing. And both Darlene and my wife saw it and went, this is a little too masculine. And it's, what am I going to do? Because I don't want this just focused as a masculine book. And I want the cover to really be friendly and warm and welcoming. And even the puzzle pieces, the way they lined up, it almost created this silhouette of the man wearing a brassiere. And you can see it if you take a look at it. And it was like, what am I going to do? So in a really petulant and foul mood, I hunted around for different microphones. I thought, let's just go back to the microphone. And I found a drawing of a microphone in particular that had the glint of a stage light coming off of it. And I thought, wow, I really like this. I mean, I don't have the rights to this particular picture, but let me send this to the designer and see if they can come up with something close. And what I got back is the final cover. And again, you can go to John Henny /184 to see it in the show notes. And it just captured everything that I wanted this book cover to be. It really speaks to singing. It utilizes a microphone, but it utilizes it in a very creative way. And it really taught me that even though I can't get stuck, I also can't get lazy and I can't settle. And when you're really, really frustrated, sometimes you just have to push through. Reminds me of a story of one of my favorite artists and producers, Brian Eno. And Brian Eno essentially invented ambient music in the 1970s with an album called Music for Airports. And he was walking through an airport and they were playing that old-fashioned elevator music. And he thought, what would be a more appropriate sonic landscape for people walking through an airport and traveling? And he created this atmospheric ambient music. And then he went on to produce U2's the Joshua Tree album. He produced the Coldplay album, Viva La Vida. And he's just absolutely brilliant. And he created this deck of cards that have creative prompts in them. And what you do is when you get stuck, you pull one of these cards and it can help you get through a roadblock. And it was an interview with an artist who was in a very, very frustrated place on the project they were working on and just wanted to go home. It's like, I'm not going to get anything tonight. I'm completely not in the mood. I'm over it. And Brian said, pull one of the cards. And this card said, keep going. And the artist almost wanted to start crying, but they pushed through and they had this breakthrough that really became a high point of the work. And I think that's what happened with me. I pushed through when I really wanted to stop. And sometimes you have to do that, keeping in mind that you don't want to get stuck and that you don't want to find excuses to not release something and to get lost down the perfection rabbit hole. And that is a very real possibility for artists. When it comes time to release something, it's really scary because you've poured your heart and soul into something, and now you're going to put it out to a world that really doesn't care. And this work can be rejected. And you will find ways to resist and to stay in the development mode rather than releasing. And I'm very aware of that trap. And I really didn't want to get stuck in it, but man, I couldn't settle. And I'm really thankful that my wife Tracy and my associate Darlene kind of pushed me to not accept this. And I was going to go with the version with the guy that had the unfortunate outline of the puzzle pieces. And my wife just said, you can't do this. And Darlene said, I don't really like it. It's not right yet. And if I had hair, I would have pulled it out. But I am just so thankful with the cover I now have. And I'm really excited to get this book out. And again, I had over 200 people sign up to be test readers, which was overwhelming. I got so many great notes. And if you're listening to this and you were a test reader, I thank you so much. But so much of the feedback was so rewarding. So I think this book is going to do well. I really have a good feeling about this, and I will certainly let you know when it's available. And be sure to get on my email list. Just go to johnhenny.com and sign up for my email list because the book will be free on Kindle just for a day or two when it first releases. So you don't want to miss that. You can get the book for free, and it comes with all the online content that I've created to help you study the material and get going. The book is geared for beginning singers, but it gets pretty deep. I do get into the acoustic concepts. I keep it really friendly and easy to understand, but the book does get into some interesting stuff, and there are exercises in there, and I have online recordings of scales, etc., for you to practice with. And I think people are going to find a lot of vocal breakthroughs utilizing this book. So, yeah, that's my podcast for today. Don't get stuck, but don't settle. And if you want to know more about me, visit my website, johnhenny.com. You can sign up for my straw warm-ups course. You can also get my free piano skills course. And I really recommend you do that. I was actually going to do a podcast on minimal piano skills, and then I saw that I'd done one back episode 66. And as a singer, you do want some minimal piano skills, and you can learn to do that on my piano course. It was previously $150. I'm giving it away for free still, just because of what's going on in people's lives with the pandemic, etc. So it's my little contribution. Be sure to check that out. And until next time, to better singing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.